Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly pop culture wrap-up. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the weekly pop culture wrap-up. It's the show where I go over the week's pop culture news, mostly comic books and movies. Let's get right into it. Houses of the Unholy is the latest announcement from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Now, they get together and they do these graphic novels every so often. In fact, they just had a recent one, Where the Body Was, which I still haven't read. Still haven't read Night Fever, which also came out recently. I have fallen very much behind what Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are doing, and that is a sad tragedy because they do stellar work when they're paired together, which is what they do. They get together, they do these graphic novels, they are critically successful, they are commercially successful, and why am I so far behind on them? Anyway, this one is a horror-themed one, and I love it when they do horror together. Fatale is one of my favorites of theirs when they've worked together, especially on a horror title. But this one is about like a reporter or a detective or something like that, and she's teamed up with somebody who has a connection to the Satanic Panic days, and it's this horrific kind of unfolding of a murder and a mystery or something like that. Sounds right up their alley. Very excited for that. That will launch from Image Comics in August of this year. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is ending in April at issue 150. So it's a big culmination of everything they've been building to. I fell out of this title like around issue 20 or something, but it is still going strong. Now it's going to end at 150, but it's not the end of the TMNT, especially at IDW, because they just recently re-upped the license. So it's probably going to be followed up with a reboot, which I think is kind of sad because TMNT is one of those few books right now that's in triple digits, and I would like to see that continue, but I don't know. I'm not plugged into the series. I don't know what they've been building up into. It is something that I want to do. I imagine this time one day where I'm going to have a week with nothing to do, where I get to catch up on TMNT, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, and everything else that I've been missing out on. Ghost Rider Final Vengeance is releasing in March. This is written by Benjamin Percy, who is currently writing Ghost Rider. Artwork by Danny Kim. This is going to focus on the spirit of vengeance, moving on from Johnny Blaze again to a new host again. And this new host is the Hood. Parker Robbins, the Hood, the villain that's going to be spotlighted in the upcoming, at some point, Ironheart MCU TV series on Disney+. Okay, that's fine. I know a lot of people are into the Ghost Rider run. It's the same writer, so it's probably been building up to this. I'm not 100% sure. And knowing everything I know about the character of Parker Robbins, he totally would try to go after the spirit of vengeance, maybe even wrestle it for himself. So, I don't know. That's coming out in March. We got Thundercats from Dynamite. We knew that this was coming. It releases February 7th, but they got a Rob Liefeld cover now. A Rob Liefeld FOC exclusive cover. So if you like Rob Liefeld, if you like Thundercats, you might want to go ahead and jump in. Dynamite has already got orders of over 100,000 on this new Thundercat series. Very excited for this personally. Declan Shalvey is the writer. And I'm totally scooping up that Rob Liefeld cover. Dynamite is also launching a Gargoyles collection on Kickstarter. It's active right now. It's already funded. Get in there and check it out. What it's doing is in 3 hardcover or softcover editions, reprinting all of the Gargoyles comics from Marvel and from Slave Labor Graphics. So all of the previous Gargoyles continuity that's in between the show and the current Dynamite series is going to be collected in 3 gorgeous volumes. It's available on Kickstarter right now. I'll throw a link in the description below. We got an update on the Witches animated TV show on Amazon Prime from Scott Snyder. He has mentioned that the writing on season 1 is almost done, and they are set to release this in 2025, which is a really cool Scott Snyder jock gnarly witch book from Image from years ago. It's being updated and adapted for an animated series on Amazon Prime. Then we got The Mandalorian and the Grogu movie. We talked about this yesterday on the Rex and Robbie and Amy show. We had a whole discussion about whether or not this was the right path forward, but with the success of The Mandalorian, with the popularity of the character of Grogu, They are doing a movie. It will be directed by Jon Favreau, and they are starting production this year. But that is not going to dissuade Dave Filoni from continuing Ahsoka with Ahsoka Season 2. This has been teased with an image that you can see right there. They are about to be starting work on this at some point in this year, so you are getting an Ahsoka Season 2. There will be a new Star Trek film that's set in the Kelvinverse, set in the J.J. Abrams world, but is done years and years before the J.J. Abrams movies. It's going to be directed by Toby Haynes, who was one of the showrunners, I guess, on Andor. I only watched like the first 4 or 5 episodes of that, but I did find it intriguing. So I know a lot of people are excited for this. I am always excited to see Star Trek return to the big screen. But I don't know if the Abrams verse is the way to go. You could tell a different Star Trek story in any part of the timeline and not necessarily have to have it connect to that iteration. And if you're not using those actors in that time, why would you even set it there in the first place unless it's to have the freedom to do whatever you want to do? I don't know, but that's happening. 28 years later, the third part of the 28 Days Later trilogy is finally arriving. 28 Days Later, a great film, written by Alex Garland, directed by Danny Boyle. They are attached for this third movie 28 years later, which is actually kind of appropriate now because it's been like, what, 23, 24 years since that movie came out? So, wow. We're getting old, y'all. But I'm excited for this. I didn't really like the sequel. They did 28 weeks later. Didn't really vibe with that one. They were going to do 28 months later. That never came to fruition. Now they're doing 28 years later. No timeline on when or where or how, but it is being... It's going to be made, and it's Danny Boyle and it's Alex Garland. I'm excited. They hope this will launch a new trilogy. 28 years later, 28 decades later, 28 centuries later. Why not? We can do that now. Top Gun 3 is in the works right now. That's the rumor swirling around. You know, Tom Cruise just signed up with Warner Brothers to develop some projects and franchises over there, but he's continuing to work with Paramount. Probably going to get, of course, we're getting another Mission Impossible movie. We better, because that last one was great. If you haven't seen it, you really need to check out Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I call Mission Impossible Part 7 Part 1, because that movie's actually really good. I would highly encourage everybody to check that out. But Top Gun 3, of course, we're getting a Top Gun 3. The first one was a huge success. The second one was a huge success. I just feel like they should have waited another 20 years. Anyway, we'll see what happens there. David Gordon Green has exited the Exorcist franchise. Now, even with the very sad and poor performance of The Exorcist the Believer in October of last year, they were still going to go ahead with the sequel to that, Exorcist Deceiver, but David Gordon Green has exited the project. Now that project has been removed from the schedule, and they are actively seeking a new director. Okay, you know, I know that movie failed. It didn't work for a lot of people. I actually didn't mind it that much. I hated his Halloween movies, but I actually liked this Exorcist movie. I know that's not an unpopular opinion. But I'm kind of sad at this news because I want to see what they were going to do. Because now, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you know what? Honestly, they shouldn't make that movie. Honestly, they just shouldn't make that movie. Especially, I mean, they just shouldn't make that movie. I mean, let's be honest. They are remaking The Blob again. I believe this will be the second time they remake it. Because I remember the original with Steve McQueen. I remember the one from 1988 that I love. You can check out our interview or our conversation about that on Dylan's Horror Show. We did that last year, so just type in Dylan's Horror Show, The Blob. Check out that conversation for that remake. But it's going to be directed by David Bruckner, which I think is very exciting. He was the director of the recent Hellraiser movie, which I really, really dug. So I'm excited. We'll check it out. I think enough time has passed. You know, it's like let's remake The Blob every 20 years or so. Let's do that. Every 20 to 30 years. Let's remake The Blob for a new generation. I think that's cool, especially if David Bruckner's attached to it. So anyway, that's what we got for you this week. What's coming up here at PCP? Well, you can catch us on PCP Movie Night. That's right, PCP Movie Night, Monday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. We're talking about one of my favorite films, Do the Right Thing, directed by Spike Lee. It's a Spike Lee joint on PCP Movie Night that is going to be Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time, and we've got a panelist making their first appearance on PCP Movie Night. I'm very excited for that. It's going to be a great panel. It's going to be a great conversation. Anyway, I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Let me know in the comments below anything you think about this news or anything that we missed or anything else that's on your mind. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us, y'all. Keep on living. Station, which is from Bill and Ted, which means be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. And pop, pop. And this part's just BS on my account. Boom!